such a wonderful joy to be coming together on this beautiful occasion of International Yoga Day, and with all of you as we truly celebrate yoga and wellness, and especially the role of that divine Shakti in yoga and wellness. So first of all, when we think about yoga, a lot of times, tragically, especially these days, as things become more and more westernized and less in their traditional meaning, people think about yoga as something that keeps my body fit, something that keeps my waist slim and slender, something that keeps my blood sugar down, or my cholesterol down, or my weight down. And it's great. Yes, yoga, asana practice can do all of those things. But ultimately, it's so much more. And what's beautiful is when you realize that even in the English, and then of course we'll come to the Sanskrit, but even in the English, the word health, wholeness, and holiness actually all come from the same root. This idea that health is only about the body, that it's only about eliminating symptoms, it's only about, these days, not having a fever, not having a cough, not having COVID. The idea that health is just about an absence of aches and pains or illnesses is not only very shallow, but it's also very new. The root of the word health, as I said, is the same as the root for wholeness, W-H-O-L-E, wholeness, and also the same as the root for holiness, H-O-L-Y, holy. So in the core of the meaning, in order to be healthy, we have to also experience wholeness and holiness, which means fullness, balance, union, oneness, that's the wholeness, and holiness, that deeper layer and level of spirituality, of oneness, of union. And it's so beautiful because, of course, then we look at the Sanskrit for yoga, and we know that it means union, unity. It is a bringing back together. What is it uniting? What is yoga uniting? Well, not just, my nose to my knees or my head to the ground. Yoga is uniting who I am on this tiny, temporary, physical identification level with the truth of who I am, which is infinite, which is consciousness, which is divinity, which is love, which is truth. And when we think about wellness, which of course is integrated again with wholeness, we realize the essentialness of our collective wholeness and our collective wellness. Because COVID made it very clear that in order for any of us to be healthy, we have to all be healthy. Unless we want to stay within the confines of the four walls of our own house, in order to go outside and to stay healthy, Well, it means our communities must be healthy. Our societies must be healthy. Our nations must be healthy. Otherwise, any of our health is very, very precarious, very tenuous, very insecure. And so that health of any of us requires a wholeness of the society, of the community, to also be healthy. But also, when we look at a greater sense of wellness and wholeness, it means in order for me to be healthy, well, the water I drink has to be healthy. The air I breathe has to be healthy. The food I eat has to be healthy. None of us can possibly be healthy drinking water that's polluted, eating food that's toxic, breathing air that's toxic. And so for us to be truly well, the world we live in must be well. And again, yoga gives us that. When yoga teaches us the foundation of yoga as the yam and niyam, the do's and don'ts, the 10 commandments, you could say, of a yogic life or a dharmic life. Well, inherent in that is how we move through the world, how we care for the world, non-violently, right? With ahimsa, truthfully, with satya, without stealing or hoarding, with integrity in our relationships. This is the foundation of yoga, but it's also the foundation for a well and whole and healthy and holy life and society and community and nation and world. So as we celebrate International Day of Yoga, we have to remember that my wellness depends upon my wholeness, which depends upon the wellness, the health, the holiness of everything, every being in our society. This is why in our practice of spirituality, in our puja, why do we offer all of the 5 elements in our puja, right? We do any worship ceremony and we offer earth, whether in the form of rice or the form of flowers. We offer water. We offer fire. We offer air and ether. We offer the 5 elements back to the divine. Not because God needs our rice or our flowers or our water, but to remind us this very creation is holy. This very creation is sacred, and therefore incumbent upon us as part of the wholeness is to take care of it. My Guru Puja Swamiji always says, when I becomes we, then illness becomes wellness. And if you look at the words, literally just the words of illness and wellness, well, they only vary by the beginning, right? Illness starts with I, wellness starts with we. The rest of the words are the same. So if you simply took the I in illness and you substituted we for I, you end up with wellness. So whether you look at it semantically or you look at it philosophically, that which we need to turn illness into wellness is to shift from a perspective of I, me, my silo, my vacuum, my little bubble, my circle, into we, all of us. And when we do that, then we start to live yoga. Then it becomes not just what I do on my mat, but it actually becomes how I live in the world. And we don't only practice asana and pranayama, but we actually take the fullness of the 8 limbs of yoga, because that is the wholeness. Sometimes we speak about a tree of yoga. Well, a tree has roots deep in the ground, but a tree grows from those roots into the earth. And then that tree provides for the earth, whether it's fruit, whether it's flowers, whether it's water, whether it's shade, whatever it may be, but that tree is both in the earth, rooted, grounded, anchored, and it is rising into its full height, and along the way it is giving and giving and giving. And that is the 8 limbs of this tree of yoga. How are we anchored and grounded in our practices within our own selves and in the world? Those are the roots of yoga, the foundation of yoga. And they are also what is required for a well, healthy, whole society. But then, of course, not only do we not begin with asana, but we also don't end there, because we realize there's that holiness element, right? The root of health, as I began, is the same as the root of wholeness, and also the same as that root of holiness. And of course, it doesn't matter what your religion may be. Doesn't matter what your particular tradition may be, or how you worship, or who you worship, what form, what name, no form, no name, it doesn't matter. But holiness means I recognize that divinity within myself, and I recognize it in those around me, in all of those around me. And so we move from asana and we start going inward. And ultimately we keep going inward and upward until we reach samadhi, which is that ultimate union of the self with the divine, that ultimate wholeness in which we realize there's no place I end and you begin, which of course then brings us in a full cycle back to yam and niyam, because if there's nowhere I end and you begin, then whom to steal from? Who to lie to? Who to harm? Who to abuse? What to hoard? What to covet? It is all one. And it is all infinite. And so it's a rising from the roots into infinity. And it's a circle. A whole beautiful infinite circle of awareness. And as we look at the role of the divine Shakti in that, the role of women in yoga, for yoga, of yoga, well, you just have to look at a yoga class these days, a yoga teacher's training these days, to realize what a huge percentage of students and teachers are women. Women are a beautiful gift to yoga. Yoga is a beautiful gift to women. And I think, again, it's a cycle. Through the practice of yoga, women are able to understand, experience, embody a fullness of the self that maybe many of us weren't able to before. There's so many issues that women have with our bodies. Whether it's a shame of the body, whether it's a sense that the body should be different in some way, thinner, fatter, taller, shorter, fairer, darker, more covered, less covered. We've got so many complexes. And yoga brings women into such a beautiful balance with our physical bodies, but also with our subtle bodies, with that energy that flows through us, that sacred energy that flows through us. And it provides us such a beautiful way to connect in balance, in wholeness, in holiness, from the very tissues and bones and blood and parts of our body that may be thinner or fatter or fairer or darker or older or younger than society may tell us they should be, but to recognize the perfection of that and then to share that with others. And throughout history, women have played such huge roles. Remember, we're not talking just Hatha Yoga. We're talking Bhakti Yoga. We're talking Gyan Yoga. We're talking Mirabai. We're talking Anandamayi Ma. We're talking the beautiful yoginis, the Bhaktis, the Gopis. We're talking Radharani. We're talking all of those embodiments of love, of service throughout history. So women, Shakti, have played a huge role. And by the way, it's not only as teachers, as founders, it's also as the women, with the rishis, with the sages, in so many crucial, beautiful ways, teaching, inspiring. In our Vedic tradition, wherever there is the divine masculine, whether Brahma, the creator, Vishnu, the sustainer, Shiva, the dissolver, well, there's the divine feminine right there, that Shakti, making it happen. The creation, Shrishti, feminine. Nature, Prakriti, feminine. So the role of the divine feminine, both embodied as actual human women or embodied as Mother Earth, Mother Nature, or as the divine Mother Goddess, has played a huge role and continues to play a huge role today in the learning, in the teaching, in the sharing, in the spreading of yoga. And even deeper than that, what I would say is yoga enables those even in male bodies to connect with that divine feminine inside themselves. So it's not just about the divine feminine Shakti in the bodies of those identifying as women. It's the presence of the Shakti in all. And ultimately that, the Shiva Shakti, the Purush Prakriti, is the ultimate yoga and is the ultimate wholeness both within ourselves and in our societies and in our world, from the highest spiritual level to the most practical on the ground level. When we balance the energies within us, we become balanced and we bring balance to the world. So all of my sisters, my brothers, all of you, it's such a joy to join you together at this beautiful time, on this beautiful day. Let us together celebrate yoga, union, that full embodied health, wholeness, holiness that is possible only when we embody and celebrate that divine feminine within us, along with the divine masculine within us. And that beautiful yoga of them.